RKW is brewed up by 8th and Roast on 104.5 The Zone. Stop by and see any of their 4 locations today. Get you a cup of Nashville's best coffee. Or in your local Kroger or Whole Foods with Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson. I'm Will Bowling. Pleased to be joined by one of our favorite guests, former Titans linebacker Wesley Woodyard, stopping by this morning. Wesley Woodyard, what is going on? How are you?
What's good with it, fam? Ramon, Will, Kayla, how is everybody doing?
What's up, Jag Killer?
We are loving life.
Hey, man, don't come in here with all this giggling and stuff, man. Like, Wes, don't come on here with all this. Anytime you do this, I want to act a fool with you.
Come on, man. Hey, listen, y'all got me on here for the ratings. Let's go.
Yeah.
What's up?
Glad to hear that evil laugh back in the fold, man, okay? Glad to hear it back, okay?
Radio's being turned up around the mid-state area and beyond.
Get them things down there.
Well, Wesley, it's a good time to catch up with you considering you were in Denver when Brian Callahan was in Denver. Of course, the reported head coach of the Tennessee Titans. And obviously can speak to just the culture in this locker room and maybe things Brian Callahan can learn from what didn't work for Mike Vrabel in his time here as the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. But first, just from your experience with Brian, what are the Titans getting in him and what impresses you the most about him and his resume?
Well, I remember Brian back in the day. He was in a quality control coach, a coaching assistant. But what that tells me is he, just like everybody, he started from the bottom to earn his weight and came and made some good things happen. I can't say I don't have anything bad to say about the man. Like, I loved him as a coach when he was in Denver. Of course, we didn't really have that much interaction, him being on the offense, but he was always one of the coaches that held up the scout card for the defense. So that's kind of like a special bond between the scout team defenses and the coach that's holding up the card, because that's a love-hate relationship. But, man, he was a cool person to be around. And when I used to be up in Cincinnati checking on the Bengals, again, ran up to me, "What's up, Wes, man? How you doing? Good to see you again. I'm glad everything's okay." So a pretty personable guy, man. And I think that's why you see him shine in the interview process and land a head coaching job.
Wes, on the other side of it, him getting hired here means obviously somebody was fired, man. It was a coach you ended up playing for also, and Coach Vrabel somewhat shocked a lot of folks by getting to this point, man. I got to ask you about some of the highs of that era that you guys had, that 2019 run, and just all the guys that you were pushing out. During that AFC Championship run, man, you guys had a lot of chemistry, a lot of dudes in that room, man. How was it in the building in that era, Wes?
Man, it's funny that you say that. You were right. We did have a lot of chemistry in that room. And for the first time, it was kind of feeling like, man, we got this thing together as a whole group. Defense was clicking. We had great secondary leadership, KB, Logan, Adoree guys stepping up. Front is me, Rack. Rack wasn't there at the time, but me, Casey, Daquan, guys just stepping up. Guys feeling good, wanting to play for each other. And, somehow, man, we used to walk around that building and be like, dude, we got to be careful. We win this Super Bowl. This could make a certain individual really peak, and we might not like that. So it was kind of conflicting views and feelings of, do we want to win a championship with this man? And he turns worse than what he is. So you guys ask, what can Brian learn from Braves? And I think just be yourself. Know that there's a series of events that can make a coach lose a team. It's not just one instance. There's several different things, and I think you look at guys like a Coach Tomlin who remains steady, remains the same in the good times, the bad times. He's still the same guy, and I think that's what's gonna pull Brian up to the ranks of being like, hey, this is my team. I want my players to go out there, kick tail, but I can't win no games if my players are not winning the games for me. And the only way a head coach can do that is if their players know, like, listen, we win the games. No coaches out there on the field playing the game. And I think that was kind of one of the disconnects with Braves. It almost felt like to the players in the locker room. And again, this is me doing research, me being around, me talking to the guys. It often felt like times like Vrabel was the one that was winning the games, and it should never be that way.
Wes, I can't let you off the hook with that comment right there, man, because you're talking about the pinnacle of all sports to me, the Super Bowl, and you guys having a players' conversation, text thread, break room conversations about the how and what will happen if you do win it. So I got to ask you this. Was it more about the identity of the coach is what you're saying? So the tone has changed here in Nashville. We're speaking about collaborations, teamwork, them building out, forward thinking. What you essentially said is it wasn't essentially that. It was about me.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. That's exactly what the vibe was. I'll give you an example of what was going on. That week leading up to that game, Coach Pease comes in the room, and him and Vrabel had kind of a little back and forth. I wouldn't say heated, but they had a little back and forth, whatever. And Pease walks in, sits down on the desk like all D coordinators started meeting off. But before it was a different vibe. It was almost like, fellas, and Coach Pease is a Christian man, God-fearing man, and he was like, fellas, I just want to apologize that, I showed some characteristics of me being unprofessional. And we was like, no, Coach, like, you are D coordinator. Like, we rock with you. Like, we love you. We know what kind of man you are. And then, boom, right in the middle of an apology, Braves walk in. Give me the clipper. Let me talk. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. And so now you go from, you just interrupted a pure bonding moment with one of the greatest defensive coordinators in the history of the game, and you want to do this. We already know, like, listen, you can't put certain players in certain positions. I'll give you another example. Love Malcolm Butler to death, but we want to play cover 4 versus one of the greatest quarterbacks, not at the time, soon to be, and cover 4 is a thinking coverage. Malcolm is a reactor, lock you down, and now you're forcing us to do this, and, like, that's not our strength right now. So it was just a series of crazy things that happened that made us be like, man, this is scary.
Wesley Woodyard, former Titans linebacker, join us now on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Was it something too, and I'm just trying to now pick the brain of some of these players that left, and we've seen like a David Long Jr., and he was obviously kind of pushed out, and he's had success in Miami. Even some of the guys up in Detroit. Is there something with maybe players here that couldn't even work with that? Like, you were able to work with that, but some players maybe just not able to work with that and go find success somewhere else because that's the reason.
Barely I was able to work with it, but I made it happen. That's a great point. All the players who left and were successful, nothing changed in their game. They were the same people here. It was just like, what are you going to use? You ship off, for example, all of the linebackers and keep David Long, and that basically says that you don't believe in David Long when you don't bring him back. That's kind of hurtful to not only David, but to the guys in the locker room. Now, what does that say to the young up-and-coming linebackers, to a guy who's done it the right way all the time, who's been there, who's tried his best to be a leader, to be a great linebacker, and then when his contract comes up, you treat him just like he's an average peon, like he didn't earn his stripes. So now that could be looked at as like, man, like, you just think that we plug and play guys. Like, you think you can win with anybody. So that's where you lose the sense of the locker room too. It's like, oh, you think you could just put anybody in here and they can just play this position because you're the greatest coach. It doesn't always work like that.
When it comes to this team, like, moving forward, and now that everything's kind of fresh, I mean, you've got a new GM with the new head coach. Wes, I barely even recognize some of the players in this locker room anymore because really the leader is Jeffrey Simmons. What's like the biggest challenge, do you think, with all this newness in this first season with a new head coach?
Well, I want to go back to Vrabel. I could just say this now. If I had to, before I answer that question, if I had to grade Vrabel's time here in Tennessee, I'll be honest. I get a man an A. And even though the outcomes and everything that happened, he kept the thing rolling. He did do a great job in that aspect. He just lost the sense of the player-coach relationship, and that was something that was very detrimental to the success in Tennessee. But to go back to where you are now with the
Wes,
locker room.
now I want to follow up with that. So does he deserve a job somewhere else? Can he be a head coach and be successful somewhere else?
Oh, without 100%. And if I'm telling Braves, as I'm sitting down with Braves, I would tell him, like, listen, you can't do certain things like this. For example, you take out all of the kids in the locker room and tell us that, hey, we're not allowing no more kids in the locker room after the games. Like, I grew up dreaming about that. Like, a big Bone, I'm pretty sure you did the same thing too, man. Like, that's something that all athletes grew up. We grew up watching MJ bringing his boys in the locker room. That was a special moment. But you kick out everybody's kids, and then now your kids are the only one that come around. I can't deal with that. I can't take that. So my son is your son is bigger than everybody else's kids. So that was another thing. So I say it's a series of small events that Vrabels just have to remember.
Yep.
Like, man, you can't do that. Like, we give all of our time to you, and in the building. Some people watch a lot of film. Some people put hours into this at the building. Don't leave until it's late night. But now we can't bring our families around to see what their dad lives and what their dad goes through on a daily basis. So that was kind of hurtful to a lot of players in the locker room, because at that time, all of us, it's a weird thing. When I first got to Tennessee, nobody was married, nobody had kids. We all grew together as a family. Me, Casey, Rack, Morg,
yep.
Logan, everybody, Big Ben, everybody was having babies. Everybody was getting married together. So it was almost like it was a family event. And that was one thing where we really rocked with Malarkey a lot as the players in the locker room, because Malarkey was that underdog mentality. And you turn on the TV, and you're like, damn, how the hell did he get the job? Well, look at how the players are responding to him. That's why he got the job. So it was just so many things that turned us sideways. And once you really do that, it's hard coming back.
So in a way, Vrabel got you guys from Malarkey. And I was here when Malarkey was here, and he was great. I loved Malarkey. Do you feel like that was kind of, in a way, a gift that he was given a group that was so together and the culture was so established already?
Heck yeah. So there's a difference. If I give you an example, if Vrabel is coming into this locker room now, I think the approach that he took would be amazing, because there are no established vets. There are no guys that have earned anything. And I go back to the first meeting that Vrabel has, and he comes in talking about a few things on his agenda. One, he puts up a highlight film on Malarkey's palms up syndrome, and that's like, hey, we're not blaming anybody. He goes on and says, hey, I want to get rid of this sense of entitlement around this place. And we're looking around like, I'm sorry, really the only people in here who have a sense of entitlement that I'll take that back, that could have a sense of entitlement would be your Delaney, your Casey, and your Rackpoles. So everybody else, I mean, myself included, I'm an old vet, Logan, but these are guys who have earned their stripes. So it was almost like, damn, are you attacking the veterans? Like, we were here when it was, oh, the Titans lose again. We struggled, we fought through that together. The Titans lose again. No, we got it to the Titans win. The Titans beat this team. The Titans do that. So you come in and saying, take away the sense of entitlement, that undermines and discredits all of the hard work that anybody put into this place. And that was hurtful from day one. And I don't think a lot of people got over that, because we always remember that. And be careful what you talk about, because you turn into that same person as you see his facial expressions on the sideline or somewhat palms up syndrome. So just be careful.
Wesley Woodyard, former Titans linebacker, our guest. Wesley, what is your first impression of Rand Carthon as he leads the Titans into this next phase of Brian Callahan, Amy Adams-Strunk, Burke Nihill, and the Titans organization moving forward and changing the structure with which this team is going to operate? What do you like about him, and what's kind of your interaction been with him, if any, so far?
Man, Rand gets it. You know, from the first time I sat down in his office, I was like, man, I want to do anything, Rand, to help this team be successful and to help you be. He said, no, stop there. He said, that's what I want to get away from. He was like, this is your team. The guys that play here, this is their team. This ain't my team. Like, I want you guys to come back and help me turn this thing around, and I need you guys. And I'm like, damn, like, that's some real stuff right there for a man that comes into the building and understands that the history that's been put in this building is the guys that play here. Rand is a man that believes in having that line of communication with his players, and I can see that on the sideline too. When I go to practice and check out practice, he's talking to the undrafted guys. He's talking to the big dogs, and I think that relationship that you have with your players, it shows them that, man, he trusts in me, he believes in me, and I got to go out there and I'm gonna play hard for him. And that's what you're looking for inside of any building, not somebody that's gonna take away. So I challenge Brian. And I challenge everybody in that building to continue to work together, because right now we're in a situation where we don't have many guys that have proven themselves in the locker room. We have a young team. We have a team that's been injured. So it's not going to take just one person. It's going to take a full boatload of people to get this thing turned back around.
Really interesting stuff with former Titan Wesley Woodyard. And Wes, we wish we could probably go an hour just on all of this.
I got one more for you, Wes. Is this? You bring up a point as far as that, not entitlement, but guys that have earned it. What you basically said is you guys had already set the culture, the locker room,
yes,
how you operate. Yes. And I'm of the old mindset, and I've been told, and it's held true too, Wes, the players will always outlast the coach, especially when you got good ones. And when a coach, to your point, comes in and tries to take the legs out, the way you somewhat described it, make it their own, you lose those players. You lose your identity. And to your point, Vrabel's not a bad coach. It's just the methods
not a bad coach.
And how you operate with professional athletes, Wes. You guys notice that, is what you're saying.
Man, 100%, dude. Like, it goes to the point of this right here, too, where you really lose the locker room. Moan, imagine if I'm your coach. We the same age. I played in this game. You playing in this game. And I don't act like what it means to get an extra hour off on a Friday. I act like I don't know what it means to sleep in a little bit longer when the season ends. Like, little things like that cannot be overlooked. Like, bro, you used to play this game. Don't be having us here from 6 in the morning to 7 at night every week. Like think about the player stuff. Don't be dogging the players all the time. Like, that's the thing that we were like, dude, you went through the same struggles that we went through, and now you're acting like you just because you're a coach, you didn't experience that. Bro, you were in New England. Y'all must lived it up. Y'all had some amazing times. So bring that energy in there. Don't suck it out. Bring it in there. Like he did have some good, cool relationships with some guys on the team. But as an overall, like, man, you don't think being a linebacker that and this is me, like me being a linebacker and my head coach is a linebacker, dude, we gonna eat that up as linebackers. Mm-hmm. It was never that way in our linebacker room. It was more of, oh, man, the principal's in here, what we do. And at that time, that was, trying to get Rashawn right, trying to get Jayon right. And, Kayla, I want to go back to a question that you brought up about Adoree, how those guys are having success. And here's something, too, that I think that Vrabel should check himself, too. Just because a guy doesn't fit your mold, your mold of what you feel like a football player should be, but they go out there, they get the job done, they don't cause you any problems in the locker room, they're on the hustle, they're making big plays. Just because they don't look like you, just because they don't tackle the way you don't want to, doesn't mean that they're not a good football player. It's just not what you're looking for. But you got to think, do I sacrifice something that I don't want, or do I keep something that's getting the job done and that's excelling at it? And that's a challenge for not only Vrabel, for all these coaches. Like, hey, man, the NFL stands for not for long. But you're going to live by and die by your players in their locker room, no matter what.
Can you just join the staff? Thanks, Wes.
Or just us on the show. This is great stuff from Wesley Woodyard, former Titans linebacker. Wes, again, man, wish we had more time with you, but let's do it again soon. Great stuff.
Yeah, we will. Y'all take care of Nashville. I love y'all, man. Ramon, I can't wait to see the kids ball out, too, bro. I know they're going to Kentucky. But we'll
there it is. He knew we didn't have any time left and that you didn't have time to respond. That's a pro move.
Love you, my dude. Stay safe, Wes. We'll link up soon.
Yeah.
All right, there he is, Wesley Woodyard with us this morning. Lots to react to there. And again, if you missed that, we will get that podcast posted in minutes.
Whoa.
On Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Go ahead and subscribe to Ramon, Kayla, and Will there. Up next, though, Austin Price of All Quest coming up.